What is ceremonial magic? Ceremonial magic is a way of practice. This comes out of a historical tradition that when we do scholarship, when I've engaged in scholarship and historical study, it goes back to somewhere around the time of Dr. John Dee and Edward Kelly. At that time, there was the church, there was folk magic, and there was something like philosophic magic, right? Philosophy. This is Neoplatonism. This is the mixture of chemistry and alchemy, astronomy and astrology. This all was happening all at once. Magic was not split apart from the mind, heart, soul, religion of these people. And so the notion of ceremonial magic actually is a modern notion. It's like a modern notion, right? Ceremonial magic is literally like a Christian church ritual. That is a ceremonial magical experience of transubstantiation. So the miracle of the Eucharist, of communion, of moving the bread and wine to blood and body of Christ, is a magical action performed by a ceremonial magician that we often call a priest or a pastor or a minister. And so if you have experience with Christianity, you might understand how natural the magic of the Eucharist is. You probably think it's not magic. It's certainly not magic, right? It's the way of the world. It's the way of God, right? That's what this is. That's what John Dee and Edward Kelly experienced, right? This is how it is. After the fact, after science started coming in, then magic started balancing it. There's a split. There's a split between astrology and astronomy. There's a split between chemistry and alchemy. There's a split between magic and science. But it is an artificial split because we had the notions of subjective and objective, this dualism, light and dark, good and evil, ripping apart something that is one thing. It's all one, but we're ripping it apart with our mind so that we ultimately can say, I am this, everything else is that, and I am this ego mind thing. This is actually the source of suffering. This is actually the source of suffering, is that duality, that splitting apart of self and other, and the identification with the self and the pushing away of the other. This is what the ego does, it's what the mind does. And so when we work with suffering in, say, Buddhism, we train the mind and ego to recognize what it is, right? It's beautiful. It's an intelligent thing. The persona is wonderful. But the habits around that, right? It's like the defensiveness around, I'm definitely this thing here. I'm definitely Daniel, and this is what I feel, think, and am. And everything else is a threat to it. That's really what the source of suffering is. And as a society, we're doing that with science and magic. Oh, we are our minds. We are our good economies and sciences and stuff like that. And everything else is problematic or evil, right? Whatever. So that's a bit more context of ceremonial magic than I was thinking I would give you. I actually wanted to talk about the history of ceremonial magic coming up and out of the workings of John Dee, Edward Kelly. He obviously was engaged with something like magic. There were obviously rituals and things like that. There are things like the Templars and the other aspects, Masonic, Platonistic magics that come out and come through the Western magical traditions, that sort of thing. What we understand to be ceremonial magic came about generally through the Order of the Golden Dawn which was about a century or so ago, brought forth a lot of these rituals. They looked to the Enochian magic, the system of magic that the angels communicated through Edward Kelly and John Dee. They looked to that and took that and made that kind of a centerpiece to a system of initiation and ritual practice that we now call ceremonial magic. I invite you to explore the history of it yourself. It might feel as if there are people out there that want to keep it secret. There are people out there that want to keep ceremonial magic taboo. There are people out there that say it's dealing with the devil or non-Christian or not this, not that, whatever, really. But I would invite you to explore this aspect yourself, really, to go into the practices. A lot are actually available on the internet for free in the public domain, right? I would stay away from people who like to keep things hidden, like to feed out little dollops of wisdom for thousands of dollars, that sort of thing. Because those actually are systems of magic, yes, but systems of exploitation. I would encourage you actually to work with traditions and practices that offer, right, invite, and provide, even if they do keep things secret, right? Because some things do need to stay secret. It doesn't make sense to talk about certain things. But even if they do, that they're willing to have a conversation with you without charging you, without making you go through this system, that system, this thing, right? To get to the level of initiate or whatever, right? Those are just hallmarks of bad corporations who are taking advantage of you. Magic is in your blood. It is in your bones. It is in your heart. Anyone who charges you for that, or says that you're not worthy, or says that you have to go through this system of initiation, and does not point to the absolute magical source of power and love and truth within you, is a fraud and not a magician that you should be dealing with. And so I would invite you to consult with the greatest ceremonial magician that can ever be, and that is you. That is you. That's you. You have the truth within you. You can discern from the first presentation of a bit of knowledge or ritual. Are they going to lead me into a weird exploitative money corporation thing and keep leading me on to some deeper truth if I only were to pay or to submit my body to these systems or organizations, right? You can tell that right away by what you feel in your heart, and therefore follow that. That's my invitation. I say all the systems of ceremonial magic that have come about in the West aren't anything to the truth within.